Hi everybody, today we're going to be cooking a lasagna. Everybody loves it and it's actually straightforward to cook. So the ingredients we're going to be using, I'm going to make a beef lasagna. That's going to be made into a tomato sauce. I have some concentrated tomato, ordinary tins of chopped tomatoes. Into the sauce too, onion, and we may add some, if you've got some, celery and carrot. But here's your main ingredient. Obviously herbs. And these bushy things here, well, we've got your good old basil and some, what's that? That's parsley I think I've got there. And also fresh from my garden, what's that? This here, that is bay leaf. And we're going to use that in with a milky sauce. So we need to produce a lovely white sauce for the middle that's nice and thick and light. And for that we're going to just have milk, cornflour, but we're going to make it a bit more cheesy by some Italian ricotta into that. And I'm going to add, to make it all bind together, one egg. And that'll be our inside. Probably grate some other cheese. I have some cheddar here. I'll grate that in and a few other flavourings. So watch. So turn the heat up to full and add a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to simply brown off our meat and then we'll add our onions into that as well. This is our deep lasagna dish and this will serve probably 4 to 6 people. And for that we've got a pound of mince already starting to heat, and just break this down, and the idea is to brown it really well all over and then reduce the moisture, brown it off, caramelise it. So whilst the meat is cooking we're going to chop the onion, bit of celery if we like, again nicely finely chopped, that's a little bit more flavour. Onion is a main ingredient. This is optional. I had it in a vegetable wrap. Breaking down the meat a bit. If you like, you can put all these vegetables in the food processor if you have one, and that will chop them all down, ready for frying up too. As the meat is cooking, I'm going to put the milk on. You only need 1 pint, that's half of this. 1 pint to heat up, ready to thicken up, add the flavouring, and add the cheese for the white sauce, white cheesy sauce in the middle. So I'm going to put my bay leaves, a few of these in. Let's put 3 or 4 of these in. We'll remove them before we serve up. Bit of salt, tiny bit of pepper, black pepper or white if you prefer white. Now here we go, we're going to add either ground mace, which is the outside of a nutmeg, or if you like, you can grind a bit of nutmeg into here. So a bit of ground nutmeg, or a little bit of this yellowy mace. And that can get a little stir as it's warming up. At the back here I've got the meat beginning to fry. You can hear it hissing, goes brown at the bottom, that's lovely. If there's too much fat coming off here, well you can take it off, but this is low fat mince, it's 10%. Now's the time to add our onions and our mixed vegetables. Add your stock and then we'll add in the tomatoes. Here I have my baby tin of concentrated tomatoes, and that gets absorbed into the meat a little bit and makes it dark and more orange. Lovely and tomatoey. Provide more tomato sauce, actual chopped tomatoes themselves. 2 tins. Another key ingredient into this is a bit of red wine. You might have in the cupboard. This is red wine vinegar. Don't suggest drinking too much of that. Or just vinegar itself. It's a bit malty. If it's just vinegar, just half a teaspoonful of vinegar. It'll evaporate off. Wine, I'm going to use wine that's there, like 1/4 of a cup. All the alcohol will vaporise off as you've been cooking. One thing to do, we've got a lot of tomato, we've even got some vinegar or wine, all quite acidic. So I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar into this, bit of a sprinkle. That's enough. Salt, pepper, and of course your chopped herbs. Let's get the herbs in. Fresh basil and parsley. So let's chop these up. Hold the end of the knife and pivot round. Okay, and in it goes. I'm going to add a spoonful of flour into this because Whilst it's in the oven, if there's any juices that come out, they all can be absorbed into the sauce mix with the flour absorbing it and thickening it up. Now that can be left to cook. Some people will leave that for an hour of cooking. I don't think we've got time, so we're going to just let that carry on cooking as I do the white sauce. So I'm just going to remove the bay leaves at this point, and I'm going to thicken this white sauce up with cornflour. So we're going to have two and a half large tablespoons full of cornflour added with water into a sauce. Add it to the milk, give it a good stir. One egg. So whisk an egg, 50 grams of ricotta into that, and just mix the two together before we put it in the white sauce. And in it goes. The egg obviously will bind everything together to make it hold. Mix it well together. Ooh, that looks good. Last thing to add in this, bit more cheese. This is fairly mild cheddar, fairly mild medium cheese. Some people like using a bit more parmesan, hard cheeses, but they're quite expensive, so this is a tasty but reasonably priced cheese. Quick check of the sauce. Look how thick that is. That's gonna be beautiful. That's not gonna run out like in cheap lasagnas. This is quality lasagna, but quick check, don't burn this up. So, could be a bit more cheesy. We're ready now to start layering our lasagna in a deep lasagna dish. I've got my cheese to sprinkle in between layers. Here I've got straightforward egg lasagna. This is just plain, but you can get the veggie, the green one with spinach in. That's quite nice, it's yummy. A little bit of oil in the bottom of the dish. Once it's oiled, you can then be adding in very layer on the bottom of the meat. After the meat at the bottom layer, we're going to put a layer of our egg pasta. Overlap a little bit, not too much, just so that it stays in. And if you've got thin bits there, you can always break long bits to place down sides or ends. So now add your sauce. Get a little shape to settle in, bit of a shape, wobbles all around just the corner there. Now we're going to do the sprinkle of our cheese. You could add in some mozzarella or even some sliced mozzarella. In Brazil, they made some really nice lasagnas by just layering thin mozzarella and ham into the lasagnas. Really tasty. That's great. Now for another layer of meat. Next layer of pasta. I'll do it a different direction. This is pasta that doesn't need cooking. Sometimes you might need to just get your lasagna soft in water to start with, but this is recommended, no cooking needed at all. I'm just going to coat this with the cheese sauce, and then it's going to go in the oven for about an hour. So that's my last of the cheese sauce. Spread that evenly on top. 1 hour, max, and minimum 30 minutes on 180, our good 180, 350 Fahrenheit, gas mark 4. Okay, it's been just over half an hour and I'm going to have a quick look to see how it's been going. It smells fantastic. As you can see, I put a pan in underneath. That is looking really good. Now, I won't be serving this straight away, that's piping hot. Beautifully browned on top, and all the layers look really, really great. That's going to be so tasty. So this is a meal in itself. I've let it rest for about 10 minutes, so it's now not too hot, and I can serve this up. It's got the pasta, it's got the carbohydrate, protein, the meat, the vegetables. And listen, you know that you've made it yourself, what goes into it, because we did have a scandal in Europe a little while ago about what went into lasagna. Things like horse meat, and even donkey, no. But this has got beef and really good fresh vegetables. Very, very scrummy. Little bit of fresh basil on that, and then possibly some sliced tomatoes just to go with that. Let's have one there. Smells delectable, delicious, scrummy, and just hope I don't burn myself. And what I like is that this sauce doesn't just run everywhere like the cheap ones you buy in the shops. That sauce is really held. I'm loving all your comments, keep them coming. I'm going to be cooking many recipes in the weeks ahead. Bye for now. The standard thing really, which is